on another episode. I regret opening this episode that way. Hello, and welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Ragnarok, the podcast that is so rad it will destroy your world. That's what Ragnarok is. Do you know what Ragnarok is? Not just the Thor movie, but like the actual event in Norse mythology. It's the doom of the gods. It's where they all die. It's where all the gods meet their end and it's over. Norse mythology ceases to be. I think that's like maybe 30% right, maybe less. So I tried to play off that. And I don't think it worked as well as I hoped it would. This, if you read the description, is another episode, or the episode type. The episode type is, we're back. We're back in the Skeleton Crew Fight Club, which I'm just kind of defaulting to at this point. I still very much enjoy doing the other, like the watch alongs and stuff like that, but I don't know, man. These are just these are doing it for me. These are doing it for me right now. Hopefully they're doing it for you. Let me know. Let me know if they're doing it for you in the comments, email, whatever, however, whenever, wherever. I don't know any more words to that Shakira song. Yeah, hopefully you're digging it too. The views, well, not the views, the downloads, the download numbers are going up. So that's positive. That seems like folks out there are enjoying this. Maybe I should take more of a look at like what episodes are specifically being downloaded, because they very well could be the watch alongs and I'm just not paying close enough attention. But that'd be so weird. That'd be so weird if these, episode types go up and people are listening to the other stuff newly. You know what I mean? I think it's this. I think a lot of people out there enjoy the Fight Club episodes. I do. And I'm going to keep going with them. And that's just that. I don't need to explain myself, okay? Except I kind of do. I kind of need to explain myself in a way. By the way, I'm really digging today's setup. Like, if you're watching this, I look over here because that's where my monitor is. So I can see what you're seeing over here. And I'm digging it. Last episode, not so much. The layout, I rushed it. I don't know. My hair was down. I got lazy. Maybe. Or I think I more got frustrated with setting up. And it showed. It reflected poorly, and I apologize if anyone was offended by how it looked. Now, if anyone was offended by the things I said, I don't apologize for that. However, I've come to be made aware of something about myself lately. And throughout my life, I have taken great pride in not caring. And by that, I mean not caring about the nonsense of the world. And I really feel like maybe this is why last episode felt the way that it did to me. I've been tricked into caring. I got tricked into caring more than I should. There are things I care about. There are things I believe in. There are opinions I have and hold, and I am steadfast in all of those. However, I don't want to obsess over it. So how this came to be for me as of late was my wife and I got into talking about just stuff in the world. Now, more than me, my wife really doesn't care. She really doesn't care about politics, about like social, the social climate. She cares about our family, her work, and Disney stuff. And it's what I love about her. She's not a one of the kind of people out there that deeply annoy me. However, I think I started slipping into becoming the kind of person that deeply annoys me. She and I got to talking about, I don't know, I just kind of rant to her or more at her about a lot of the things I end up ranting about on this podcast. And it's a big benefit for me to do this podcast because I can avoid doing that to her, which I'm sure she appreciates. And it came to a head because my wife will not care about nonsense and the social climate until they start coming for something she loves. And when they start coming after something she loves, then she develops, or she always has an opinion, but she becomes more outspoken about it. And it's what triggered her into caring a little bit more or sharing a little bit more with me was they started coming after Target. So my wife stays out of politics until they come after Target. And once they come after Target, she's involved. So as of recently, and again, Skeleton Crew Fight Club, this is the podcast. This is the Ragnarok podcast type that exists in the prime timeline. Everything else, I like to keep evergreen, where you can listen to it 300 years from now and it'll feel like it exists within, they're timeless. I don't reference anything going on in the real world. I keep it focused in whatever topic it is, and that's it. So they remain fresh. However, this episode type, I do talk about what's going on in the world to a degree in real time. And recently, we are on the precipice of June. And to most of you out there, June is Pride Month. And it's Pride Month for me as well, but it's Pride Month for me in a different way. June is also Portuguese Heritage Month, and that's the Pride month. That's the Pride I celebrate and live and, exude through the month of June. I don't fit under the LGBT QA2S. I don't know. LGBTQ is really as far as I can get confidently. It's like pi. Like how many digits of pi can you get to before you drop off? I can't get many. So it's very similar in that way, actually. So Target has come under fire as of late. Is under fire the right terminology? It might not be. Basically, they were going into Pride season with all of their Pride-centric gear at the front of the store. So as soon as you walk in, boom, it hits you. I take personal offense because they're only doing one side of Pride Month. Like, you walk in, you don't see anything Portuguese in there, and I find that offensive. It's okay. Target is lusophobic, and that's fine. Lusophobic, it's a real thing. Portuguese people are not welcome at Target. Like, well, I don't want to say that, but they don't recognize us. They don't care to give us the recognition we deserve during our Heritage Month. And I find that greatly offensive. I find that greatly offensive that nowhere seems to care about Portuguese Heritage Month, and I will remain outspoken about that. But I digress. So they wanted to avoid some sort of heat, so they pushed their Pride stuff to the back of the store. That was like a hot topic socially, and amongst the Pride things, supposedly there was some stuff. And I say supposedly because I don't know, nor do I really care. Some things were targeted towards children, and a lot of conservative folks took to protesting this by boycotting Target and returning a bunch of stuff and blah, 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 blah. And they were like refusing to shop there, and the whole, protesting, boycotting, all that fun stuff. And it bothered her. It bothered her because, she loves Target. And she was sending me, like, we were texting back and forth because, she likes to text. She likes to text even when we're in the same house. She'll be upstairs and I'll be down here or whatever, and we'll text back and forth. Personally, I'm not initiating text conversations with somebody in the same house as me, but I will placate and humor her because I love her, and happy wife, happy life. You know what I mean? So we went back and forth on some things, and then we got to a point where, how did it come up? It came up in a way where she expressed concern that I would be of the opinion that where I would share the sentiment of wanting to boycott Target. And that, I was taken aback by that. I was like, wait, what? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, no, I don't care. I mean, I'll talk some smack. I talk. I'm a talker. I try to keep these shows PG-13. I don't want to swear because I would hope that listeners out there with children would feel safe and confident to be listening to this even with their children present. I'm a dad, and I like to share my interests with my kids. So anybody out there who listens to this, I hope they could listen to this in the car with their kids if their kids happen to be, you know what I mean? I don't want to, I try to watch my potty mouth as well as I can. Not in front of my kids though. I'm my true self in front of them. Anyway, so I was really shocked that she thought I would be the kind of person that would hold that sentiment of like, yeah, no, we're not going to shop at Target anymore. And I was taken aback because I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, there are things that I find to be foolish, with everyone, the right, the left. I base my politics, my spirituality, my opinions, my just approach to life in logic and reason is what drives me. Now, wherever that places me on the political spectrum is solely based in my understanding of things. If I think something is dumb, I'm going to be opposed to it. Now, in today's social climate, the things that seem to be at the forefront are some of the most nonsensical things that I've ever faced in my life. And I tend to be outspoken about that. It's contrary to, I guess, the conventional culture, maybe, but at the same time, I don't really think so. I think more people out there share the same sentiment as I do when it comes to all these things, but given the really vocal minority of internet trolls, people are afraid to say things, so they play pretend a lot, and I refuse to play pretend. I'm going to be as blunt and straightforward as I possibly can, always, and I don't fear the ramifications of that. You know what I mean? Because to me, I'm right, and I'm never going to be afraid of being right, nor am I going to apologize for being right. Now, you may think I'm wrong, and that's fine. You're allowed to think that, just like I'm allowed to think I'm not wrong. I'm allowed to say the things I want to say, just like I believe you're allowed to say the things you want to say. Maybe you don't have a podcast, so you're not blasting the things you have to say to the cyberverse. That's your fault, not mine. Start a podcast. I don't know. That's on you, homie. So anyway, I was really like, ugh. If my own wife is thinking that like I'm part of a group, then I'm doing something wrong. I'm not truly representing how I feel or who I am accurately. If anybody out there, let alone my wife, is that how you do that? Would it be, is that it? Should I say, if my wife, let alone anyone else, or anyone else, let alone you know what I'm saying, though. If anybody is thinking I'm part of any sort of tribe beyond my own, I'm not presenting my most authentic self. God, I hate the way that sounded. It sounded really, be your authentic self. That's one of those things that I agree with. Everyone should be their authentic self, but I hate the way that sounds. It sounds super just, the people hate the term woke, but it's only like wokey people who hate the term woke, but it's a term, it's a thing, it's something. It exists in the zeitgeist. And if it offends you, maybe it offends you because you're part of that ideology and you bother me. But that sounds like one of the things that side would say, be your authentic self. But I agree with it. I agree with the sentiment. I just don't like the mental image I get of the person that would say that. Anyhow, and I was like, no, I don't care. Why? I'm not going to stop shopping at Target. It's the closest store to us for convenience shopping. You know what I mean? Like, whatever they're doing, whatever their politics are, I just see it as a cash grab. You know what I mean? I don't think Target supports anyone but Target. So, whatever it may be, whatever the hot topic is at the time, of course they're going to involve themselves because they want customers. So you're going to pay lip service to anyone you can to guarantee income. Now, I'm a very poor businessman in that way because I won't do that. I could very well make like my skeleton crew skull, like the signet, the skeleton crew signet. I could do rainbow versions of those. I could do a trans flag version of that. I could do whatever, and they would probably sell. They would probably sell, and I could pay the lip service to that group and cash in. But that feels so inauthentic. You know what I mean? I don't have any grievances or ill feelings to anyone who identifies with whatever group. I just have ill sentiments and feelings towards the people who force that ideology upon me. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? But I feel that way about anybody. I feel that way about any religious organization that's going to want to shove their theology in my face and say, you have to believe this. And I'm going to respond, no, I don't. Now get away from me before I hit you. That was violent. I'm not going to pretend I'm not. I say wild things, but I mean them. You could always trust that I'm going to say exactly how I feel and exactly what I think, except for using potty mouth language. That's the only thing I'm going to pull back, and I explained why. So, this revelation that came from this conversation with my wife really got me to thinking, like, I'm playing into the madness. I'm being sucked in. Like I'm being tricked into caring more than I naturally care to care. I do have strong standpoints on anything that is thrust upon or gear, like, how do I put this? Anything that is that anyone subjecting children to their ideology, I have a problem with. So that's where I draw the line. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what you do as an adult, and I don't care who you do it with as long as they are adults. But I am a firm believer in the preservation of child innocence. And this is something I held firm to even before being a parent. As a kid, events in my life forced me to grow up really quick. So I didn't get to be just a kid for very long. Same goes for my sister. And that's something that still bothers me to this day. I'm proud of the adult that I've become. But I do still hold a, there's a dark mark on my soul, from having that childhood innocence taken from me at a young age. And it wasn't like any sort of like abuse or anything like that. It was just our parents passed away in a pretty gruesome way, gruesome emotionally, not so much physically, but there was a physicality to it where, they both got sick, and we had to watch our parents deteriorate before our eyes, and then like the two, our mom's side and our dad's side feuded, and like there's so much that my sister and I went through that no child should ever have to go through. And the adults in our life were, the majority of them were really selfish about it. And they, in my opinion, a lot of them, the majority of them, were putting their own, they're just putting themselves first. Now, my Uncle Neal, my mom's younger brother, he's the exception out of all of them, honestly. But, all that's neither here nor there. So it definitely is important to me to let children be children and not subject them to, adult the dark side of adulthood, the dark sides of adulthood. Kids don't need to be exposed to, or even worse, invited in to it. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I don't have any qualms with drag performers, drag shows, blah, 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 whatever. Don't care. I find them to be kitschy and comical. There's a level of entertaining there for sure. And it's cool, man. Whatever. It's performance. It's theater. It's obscure theater. It's cool. It is what it is. And it's rad, rad. But to pretend that there isn't a sexual nature to drag in and of itself, or at least in the performances, is asinine to me. No. To say there isn't is, you're wrong. Like I don't know how you can say that. Like, it's just, that's untrue. And I don't think kids need to be subjected to that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to take my kids, there is a line to that, where I'm not saying that to attend like a drag event, somebody needs to be 18 and up. No. Teenagers, like, we have a 13-year-old, and I wouldn't have a problem with him, like, being part of an audience to a drag show, like, but then again, that's, he's of the age where he can, understand what it is. Now, my 7-year-old, that's a different story. I don't, like, I wouldn't let him watch an R-rated movie. So why would I take him to R-rated live performances? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And the people who are okay with that, it's whatever, man, that's on you. But I'm going to look down upon you. Like, I'm going to feel as though I'm a better parent than you if you're taking your 7-year-olds to drag shows. You know what I mean? So that's where I am with all that. Yeah. I think that's helping my point. The point that I'm making is I don't care. I don't care. I think both the right, the left, I find them to be cultish. I find them to be tribes, and the only cult and the only tribe I care to involve myself in is one that I'm leading myself, aka Skeleton Crew. So here we are. All that to be said is, ultimately, I'm just, yeah, I don't want to talk about stuff like that as much anymore. I feel like I talked about that a lot on the last episode, and it kind of bugged me. It bugged me. I don't really, I mean, I'm not worried about how anyone out there feels about the things I say. I mean, you're going to listen or you're not going to listen. Like, what's it to me? You know, I only want people who share, and this is culty. This is very tribalish. I only care to appease people who have a similar mindset as I do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'm not afraid to say you're wrong and this is how I feel about it. And I'm not going to budge on how I feel about it. That's not to say that I'm not open to changing my mind about things, but I'm pretty confident in, my gut reaction to things. So there we go. Did any of that make sense? I kind of think it did, but at the same time, I could see how it might not have. Anyhow, so my tea. So you know what I noticed? Like, are all mugs? And you know what? I'm also figuring this out as I wanted to bring it up. So, and this is really like, if you're just the audio, if you're just listening to audio, this might not translate well to you. But if you're watching this, then here we are. So, on the video podcast, I want to use mugs, and I want to share with you, the audience, what mug I'm using. Like today, I'm using an official Mouseketeer mug. Now, when I take a sip, notice that you see like the back of the mug. You no longer see the thing I'm trying to show off, and that is the Mickey Mouse Club emblem. You see a pair of Mickey ears. And I want you to see this part while I'm taking a sip, or even when it's like resting on the table itself. I realize now, as I'm going into this, that the graphic faces the drinker because you want to see the mug you got. Because not everyone out there is speaking to a camera and trying to show off to other people their mug. But is that the case? Are mug designs intended to appease the drinker and not those watching the drinker? Those are the kind of hot topics I prefer to dive into on this podcast. And I think that's what it is. I think mug designs are meant to cater to the drinker and not everyone else. Because not everyone has an audience. I don't really think I have an audience. If you look at the YouTube numbers on these podcasts, you would agree. But the downloads, is it because I've been offering like audio podcasts and only audio podcasts for so long that there isn't really an understanding now, because I haven't really done the video portion or a good version of a video or a video aspect of the podcast for more than like just a few episodes. So maybe it just needs to catch on. Now the views on like the classic cartoon commentaries are much more, or much higher. So but I've been doing those for a while too. So it'll all catch on. At the same time, I'm not really worried about it. It is what it is. It is what it is. People will like it. They won't like it. They'll watch it. They won't watch it. I'm going to keep doing it because I enjoy doing it. And hopefully it grows into something that, it just benefits more beyond just emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. Speaking of spiritually, you see my candle behind me? I had to put something back here. I noticed in the other... There we go. Look at that. That's much better now. There we go. That's a really good spot for it. Anyway, back to what I was saying before, and my tea is cold. It's like just slightly past the Goldilocks zone, where it's like lukewarm, where it has the temperature of where it was once hot. It's not room temperature, but it has a reminiscence. I lost it. That's part of my neurological thing here. That is dyslexia, a neurological thing. Check this out. I can look things up now. Maybe. Wait, how does this turn on? Turn on now. How do I get... There we go. So last couple episodes, I had my research, my lookup thing computer over here. Well, you know what? That computer doubles as a tablet. So I was like, why don't I just use the tablet portion, have it laid out in front of me? So I'm not having to there was a lot of things visually on the last episode that I didn't like. Let's see. What is dyslexia? Is dyslexia a neurological disorder? Dyslexia. This is cool. I like this. I like having the tablet. Let's see. Dyslexia is a learning disorder that involves difficulty reading due to problems identifying speech sounds and learning how they relate to letters and words. Decoding, also called a reading disability. Dyslexia is a result of individual differences in areas of the brain that process language. Okay. Let's see. That's not exactly what I wanted. Is dyslexia a disability? It's a reading disability and is characterized as an unexpected difficulty in reading by people who possess the intelligence, motivation, and schooling necessary to read. It is a persistent, chronic condition rather than a developmental lag. Ooh, is it a form of autism? People often confuse dyslexia and autism for one another or conflate them for their similarities, but they are two completely different disorders that affect the brains of people in different ways. Okay, so dyslexia is a learning difficulty, and autism is a developmental disorder. Ooh, do dyslexics have higher IQ? I always say they do. Some teachers and parents can mistake a dyslexic child for someone who is lacking in intelligence, but the truth is, dyslexia has nothing to do with a child's level of intellect. I'm going to argue that's not answering that question. Who put this in there? Whoever put this in there is stupid. The question is, do dyslexics have a higher IQ? And the answer is saying they are not. People with dyslexia aren't dumb. That's not the question. The question is, are dyslexics smarter than everyone else? And I argue yes. So there. Why do I argue that? I don't know. Let's see. The brains of people with dyslexia show different, less efficient patterns of processing. What does that mean? Including under and over activation during tasks involving sound and speech and letter sounds and words. Does it get worse with age? They don't get worse with age. It doesn't get worse with age. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not getting the answers I want, so I'm going to stop looking into that. Oh, so what's been going on? What's been going on with you? Go on, tell me. I'm listening. It's so back in San Diego, where I'm from, it is Festa weekend, and that is a Portuguese celebration of what is it, Pentecost? I think. Catholic related, I believe. So on Instagram, on social media, the relatives I do follow, and like, you know, people I know and stuff like that, I'm seeing all these photos bringing back memories of when I would go to the festa, and I would still go if I still lived in San Diego. It's Portuguese Fest, man, and I loved it. I loved it growing up, and you know, I say that I loved it. I loved aspects of it. There's a parade. They do a parade, and every single year, well, if you're a Portuguese child, you would be forced to walk in this parade, and that was, you know, it was a real hit or miss. Depending on what you had to wear. I remember one year I had to wear this like really just, oh no. Oh, I have a mouse to my monitor, but the screen, I don't remember activating a screensaver, but it came on. Anyway, I remember having to wear this like puffy gold outfit that was super uncomfortable. And it was like the pants were puffy, had like a puffy hat and like puffy kind of shoulder. It was really just obnoxious looking. And I hated that. But there were other times where like I got to wear jeans and like a shirt for like some fisherman, some fishing boat, some tuna fishing boat. That was cool. But that wasn't the fun part. The fun part was going down to like the carnival aspect of it, and well, not like a carnival in the way of like rides and stuff, but food and like games and stuff like that. It's yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. As an adult though, I don't know how well I would fit in down there nowadays, because adults, like, it kind of doubles as like an opportunity to show off a little bit, you know, like you get kind of, it's classy casual, I guess is how I would put it. Like my brother-in-law, my sister posted on her Instagram story of like a family photo for them, and my brother-in-law is wearing like a sports jacket, I think, because that's what you would call it, with like a purple button-down collared shirt with like, I don't know, he looks super fly. And he does look good. Like, I mean, you know, nobody looks bad, but it's not my style. You know what I mean? Like, so I remember like aging out. Not even aging out. I don't think you really could age out of walking in the parade. It was just after our parents passed away, our grandparents wouldn't like put us in the parades anymore. And in my teenage years, so where my grandmother lives in San Diego, the parade route crosses like at the top of her block. So we would just walk out of her house and go to the corner and watch the parade go by. And in my teenage years, when I started becoming just like ultra punk rock, man, I stuck out like a sore thumb back then. I had like long dickies, like, you know, like Blink-182 dickies, where they were shorts, but they were long and baggy. And then I'd have like my spiky hair and lip ring and stuff like that. So there aren't many other Portuguese people that look that way. So I definitely stood out. And I stood out for other reasons as well. But I don't know how this would translate going down there. I don't know. I'd like to take the family though to experience it. My kids are a bunch of half breeds, So it's something they should still be subjected to. Like half Portuguese is still good enough. You know what I mean? I I say it because I mean it. I told my wife that the other day. Like I think I'm a Portuguese supremacist. Supremacist? What is that? Where I think Portuguese people are superior to everybody else. It's because it's true. But I still respect the rest of you who aren't. Like I don't dislike you because you're not Portuguese. I just think you'd be better if you were. Oh, it's part of my charm. It's part of my charm. Speaking of my charm, I've come to notice that I think there are people who don't like me out there. And that's wild, isn't that? That's crazy. But I think it might relate to some of the wild things I say. But I don't really think everything I say is that wild. You know what I mean? Like I back it up with logical, substance. But so much of what I says just doesn't kowtow. Is that a phrase? Kowtow? It doesn't befall the social expectations, I guess. Like the whole pronoun thing. It's silly to me. It's silly to me. It is. But hey, do your thing. Do you. But if I respect you doing your thing, then all I can expect in return is the same respect to understand that I don't care enough to play that game. I just don't. I'm going to say what I say. And what I say is not, there's no intent, malicious intent. I'm not trying to offend anybody. But I'm also not gonna, I don't care. Like, if I say he and you say actually, it's they, I'm gonna say actually. That's how I feel about that. That's how I feel. Just shut up. Like, whatever. Because if it really hurts your feelings that much, then that says something more about you than it does me. Because people could literally say whatever they want about me, and okay, more people need to be that way. More people out there need to be that way, where if people say whatever about you, wow, why does it hurt your feelings? Like, honestly though, it would hurt so much more to be punched in the head. And if somebody's not punching you in the head, then who cares? Like, genuinely, who cares? It's so challenging for me to wrap my head around ever being worried about, like, if somebody referred to me as a she, her, okay. Okay. I mean, they're wrong, but people are wrong about a lot of things. So what does it matter? It's the caring about just such trivial nonsense that befuddles me. But people are so passionate about it. But are they passionate for genuine reasons, or is it just trying to fit in? I think it's just trying to fit in. I think it's just trying to be part of a team, part of a thing. You know what I mean? But that's offensive, and I know some people are going to be offended by that, but I don't mean to hurt your feelings. I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but at the same time, your feelings don't matter enough to me to like walk on eggshells. What does the term walk on eggshells mean? Like you're walking on them trying not to break them? Because let me tell you, if there were a bunch of eggshells in my way, I would just crush them. I just walk all over them. I don't care. I'm not going to clean them up either. Like I'm just going to, if there's a bunch of eggshells in my way, if they're the shells, eggshells, if there are eggshells in my way, the yolks are gone, whatever baby reptile or bird that came out of it is gone. What do I care about the shells? You know, I'm not going to tiptoe around it. Just walk over it. Now, broken glass is another situation. So maybe the term or the phrase or the idea should be, I'm not going to walk on glass, but because I mean, you would be more careful not to step on glass. That makes more sense to me. Everything I'm saying is just nothing. Like, why do people listen to this? I'm glad you do, but why? Why do people listen to this? I'm not saying anything worth saying, I don't think. Man, I got sunburnt a little bit. Do you see that? I've been doing a lot. I've been doing a lot of yard stuff lately. My father-in-law and my brother-in-law, they are both out of town working. And, man, I'm like soft burping a lot. They are not around to maintain their yard. And they got a yard. Like they got some land. And I'm not going to, I volunteered they have a lot. And like the land they have is grass. So I volunteered, as a good family member should, and so my mother-in-law doesn't have to do it. I'm a young, strapping lad, and I can handle cutting some grass. And they have like one of those like heavy-duty ride-on mowers, like the zero-turn ones. So that's a lot of fun to me. I've never ridden or operated one of those until volunteering to do so, cutting their grass. So it's been an adventure. It's been an adventure for me. Growing up in San Diego, Point Loma, Ocean Beach, there's no yard to do that. Like if you have grass where I grew up, like 15 minutes of a push mower and you're done. You're good. I got quite the yard here in my house in Nashville, and I use a push mower. Now, there have been times where the yard has gotten away from me, and I've outsourced the mowing to people with, a ride-on mower option. But it just seems unnecessary to me. Like, it does take a chunk of time to cut my grass with a push mower, but I do it. I do it because I'm tough like that. It would go a lot faster using one of those like zero turny mowers, but it just seems so unnecessary for, I don't know, it just doesn't, you know what I mean. But anyway, so even with one of those ride-on mowers, it's taken me like 3 days, and that's not like full days, but it's taken me three trips to accomplish cutting all of their grass. And I've had, it's worked out that way. I could get through all of it in one day, but the timing of it, like the first day, so my father-in-law showed me how to use the mower, and I paid attention to the best of my ability, which is not adequate in a lot of ways. I'm I'm like, when it comes to anything at all, if anybody tries to explain anything to me, like in the operation of something or how to do something, I'll hear it out. And I'll get just a really, really bare bones gist of it. And ultimately, I'm going to have to trial and error, in practice to really understand how something works. It's just how my dyslexic brain works. But anyway, so the first time I went out and did it, apparently I was just riding around. I was just riding around because I didn't put the blade down, so it wasn't actually like cutting anything. I was just driving back and forth in the yard, and my wife came out and she's like, "Hey, I'm really happy that you're having fun, but you're not doing anything." And I'm like, "What?" So that was like a solid hour of just riding around, and then I ran out of light because I started in the afternoon and blah 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 blah. Anyway, where am I going with this? Oh, it's just been weird. It's been crazy. I ran over a snake. It was an accident, mostly. I was going, and I was like, and I was like, oh, a snake. By the time I saw the snake, it was already too late. And then I looped back around, to see like maybe it was like low enough to the ground where it didn't get caught up in the blade. No, it got caught up in the blade, and there were snake bits everywhere. Like, it's not something I'm proud of. I'm not proud that I ran it over and ended its life in a very, very brutal way. Yeah. But yeah, it was a big snake too. It was like really big. So maybe I did somebody a favor. I don't know. My wife doesn't like snakes. So she was, she literally said, "Oh, good job." I was like, I don't think the snake feels that way. The snake feels nothing actually now. And then it was kind of interesting today while I was doing it. There were a bunch of birds just like flying around me. And at first I thought like, oh, there's just a lot of birds over here. But as I like progressed through the yard, they just kept with me. And I realized they were swooping down and eating the bugs that were coming up from, me cutting the grass. So it was a lot like a, if you've ever been like deep sea fishing or fishing on like a boat on the ocean of any kind, like how the seagulls will kind of, swarm around because there's fish, there's fish there. That's just what came to my mind. As a result of growing up, in that atmosphere. Yeah, it was really cool. It's really cool. And I'm going to be doing that a lot more because, they're out of town. I'm here. I'm doing it. I've gotten really good at it. It's really nice too. I just pop my headphones in and I just go and I just listen to a podcast or music or something and just kind of zone out. And it's very peaceful. It's something that's really enjoyable if you're not, if you're not opposed to getting lost in your thoughts. Now, some people don't like that, apparently. Because my brother-in-law was like, "Hey, I was cutting the grass going," and I was like, "Man, it's a lot. Like, there's a lot to it. Like, I've got to go back and finish." He's like, "Yeah, it's a lot of gives you the opportunity to do a lot of thinking." And I don't know if he said that in a way of like, I don't know. He didn't seem. The way he said it, it didn't seem like he was saying it in like a beneficial way, but I think it's a really beneficial way. But again, I'm just that type of person, I guess. I got sun though. I guess you can't really tell, but whatever. What's kind of crazy though too is like in doing that, I start thinking about like I get really excited to get home and get to doing a podcast because I'm thinking of all these things of like, yeah, I could talk about this and I can talk about that. And then when it comes to like recording, it all disappears. It all goes away. I need to start writing these things down. I have a notebook. I have a notebook that I got specifically to jot down ideas and stuff to bring up on podcasts, but haven't utilized it the way I should. Right now, when you're watching or listening to this, if you're watching it and we're listening to this within the week it comes out, we're actually down in Florida at Disney World, and that's really exciting. I got some new toys to take with us. Have you guys watched my vloggentaries and stuff? Like I do kind of like a vloggy shooting down there. I'm not one, we watch a lot of Disney vloggers, and I think it's cool. I do, but I'm not like and this is gonna sound weird because it's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not one of those people that likes to be like in front of the camera and you know what I mean? I do it with this because I don't know. This doesn't feel the same way to me because it's me by myself. I'd feel really awkward doing this in a very crowded atmosphere like a theme park. But I did, because I don't, it just seems so goofy to me. The people who have like their camera and they're like, so this thing I'm eating is blah, 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 blah. It just seems so, I don't know. Maybe I lack confidence in that way. And maybe I do care what people would think, seeing me do that. And maybe it's just my own judgmental nature, because seeing people do that, I would look at them and go, look how goofy they look. So maybe that's an insecurity of mine. But to remedy that, got little microphones. So the vloggentaries, I would do video, edit it together, and do like a commentary track over the footage that I collected. It's cool, but I want to try something on a little different. Maybe do a little talking like in the moment. And I'll have the little microphone now, so I'm not, you'll see how it turns out. So the live action Little Mermaid came out this weekend, and let's see how it's doing. Let's see how it's performing. From what I understand, it had a pretty decent audience score. The Little Mermaid. It's got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb's, and the Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 67 critics score and a 95 audience score. Now, I'm curious. We are going to go see it at some point. I don't know if we'll see it in theaters or if we'll just wait for it to come to Disney Plus, but it's so interesting because I've seen some reviews on Twitter and people have brought it up in podcasts and stuff. And the honest reviews seem to be saying the same things, where the film is good-ish. It's not the original. They're basically saying all the things that I had been predicting the outcome would be, where it doesn't have the same heart and soul that the original does, that it's just okay. It's just another movie. It's just a kind of way to pass the time. Like it didn't need to be, but it is. It's there. It exists. So as something that exists, it's like, okay, it's there. So those are the reviews that I find to be the most honest. A 95 audience score. That makes me wonder if people are showering it with praise in some areas, given the politics behind it, if that makes sense. And I know it makes sense. These live action movies have all been dog dookie thus far, with the exception of maybe The Jungle Book, maybe, but everything else has been kind of garbage, and I'm feeling a similar tone to the live action Little Mermaid. I'm bringing this up because at the Disney parks down in, I guess, both Disney World and Disneyland, they have introduced the live action Ariel as a character meet and greet. And to me, I don't know, man. I just feel like not casting an actress who resembled the animated version of Ariel, it just opens the door for like unnecessary, you know what I mean? Like, what? Because when you go to the parks and you do these character meet and greets, like specifically the princesses and stuff like that, the idea is you're meeting the princess from the movie, right? I mean, that's how I felt growing up and having kids, namely Bane, really my 7-year-old. That's how he approaches it. He approaches these meet and greets like, oh, I'm meeting Cinderella like the one from the movie. I'm meeting Tiana like the one from the movie. I'm meeting Ariel like the one from the movie. Well, now there's 2 Ariels. I feel like that kind of depletes the magic of that a little bit. Because why are there 2 different Ariels now? Why? It's just... It just seems like... It seems like in a place where you're trying to blur the lines between fantasy and reality, muddying the fantasy kind of kills it a little bit, because now it beckons the question, which Ariel's fake? Like, which is the real Ariel? They look so drastically different. Like, is this one the real one, or is that one the real one? Why are there 2? Like, well, I don't want to answer these questions. I don't think these questions are necessary. Like, they didn't need to be. And again, I feel like when you pose rational questions like that, you run the risk of being accused of, like racism or some nonsense like that. And it's like, it's truly not, though. Like, these are just genuine thoughts I have to... I mean, who out there's going to argue this point? I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who would argue this point, but I'm confident in saying that the arguments counter to what I'm saying don't hold water. Get it? Hold water? Little Mermaid. Notice how my cough is kind of gone? I kind of felt it a little bit right there, but I don't think I've coughed at all this whole episode, which I'm getting better, man. Man, I've been sick like for 3 months straight almost. And it's not legit sick. It's just exhaustion, and my body's not able to fend off just the most basic of funks at the moment. But anyhow, back to what I'm getting at here. It just seems, why? You know what I mean? It just seems, why? I don't know. I feel like I've really poo-pooed all over this live action Little Mermaid, and I feel like every concern and every qualm I have before seeing it, it's legitimate. And this character meet and greet thing is legit because, well, we're going to end up doing the meet and greet with the live action Ariel, and I'm curious because I put myself in the mind of my child. I'm expecting him to ask why does this Ariel not look like the other one? And how do you explain that? How do you explain that? How do you explain that without being like, well, they're not real? Because that seems not very fun. That feels like killing the magic a little bit, don't you think? Because if you're there to play pretend in the Disneyverse, if you go into the park and you let go of the outside world and you submit to, yes, that is Aurora, that's Sleeping Beauty, that's Mulan, that's Pocahontas, that's Tiana, that's Cinderella, that's Princess Jasmine, that's that's Snow White, that's the real Snow White. Okay, well, now there's been a monkey wrench thrown into it a little bit because now there's two different Ariels. And I find it to be incredibly unnecessary. And it really disheartens me because it excuse me, I apologize. It's really disheartening in knowing that it was all just a superficial cash grab move. Because if you wanted to truly make a live action version of the animated classic, then stick to the basics. Hold true to the basics of just like having the actors resemble the characters in their original form. Like I don't know why that's such a dangerous way to think these days. Because to me it's such commonplace. You know, you didn't make Simba a tiger. You know, the Lion King Mufasa wasn't a cheetah. So, you know, it just feels unnecessary, and it kills the magic a little bit. And I'm sure that there are going to be a number of people out there who are like, well, what does it matter to you? It matters to me because I buy into the magic. I play along. I play the game, and as somebody with kids, I want the experience to be. I don't want there to be any confusion or need to question things. That's not what we're there to escape the chaos of the real world. And it's just like you're welcoming in some of the real world by doing these kind of things. Like the casting of Ariel, you know, I don't doubt the actress's ability or talents or anything like that. Like, yeah, I'm sure she can pull it off just fine. I'm sure she does a great job. I'm sure that she has the talent to portray the character. Is just playing with the aesthetics seems unnecessary, and it seems like the only reason to do that is to play social games. And I don't necessarily know if Walt Disney would have done that. Because to me, it always seemed like the goal to all of this was to build a magical place that was, somewhere for everyone to escape to and forget about the trials and tribulations of the world outside. And now the inside of Disney is being confused by the outside. And it's just a bummer, man. It just bums me out. Because it's unnecessary. Again, I know I'm repeating myself like I'm a broken record, and I've talked about this on too many different podcasts. But it still bugs me, man. And just going to continue to bug me, I guess. Anyway, hey, let's on a happier note. You know what I had for dinner? Like I really enjoy cooking, and I really enjoy, being able to get wild. Tonight for dinner, I made chorizo grilled cheese sandwiches, and I added like an egg. What is it called? It's not sunny side up, but when you like fry both sides of the egg, what's that called? I know there's a term for it. Frying. I'm looking it up for the audio only listeners. Don't you hate when like you can't type worth anything? Frying both sides of an egg. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. What is that called? I did over medium. Cooking over medium heat. Oh, wait, hold on. Cooking over medium heat allows the whites to... What is it called? Because sunny side up is when you just do one and you have like the yolk. Oh, it changed what I typed. Frying both sides of an egg. Whoops. Is called... What is it called? Over easy. I put an over easy egg in it. And it was awesome. It wasn't as runny as I wanted it to be because I had like these visuals of like a runny yolk coming out. But the inside kind of solidified. It's still good though. So try it at home. I do want to do kind of like cooking videos, but the cooking itself is already a lot of work, and making a production of it, I don't know, man. It just seems kind of, it's adding more when it's already hard enough, man. I got a big family. It's a lot of mouths to feed. It's a lot of mouths to feed. So, and I'm the kind of dad that cooks what everybody wants. You know what I mean? Like my wife and I and our oldest, the three of us will always eat the same thing. Sometimes Maverick will eat the same as well, but sometimes Maverick will eat whatever Bane's eating. And Bane eats like 3 different things. There are 3 dishes that you can make that kid to where he'll be happy. He's got a weird thing about food. It's he's a picky eater. But it's like he's really affected by some kind of foods. He's really affected by the textures and the psychological aspects of eating. You know what I mean? Like, if he gets an idea, so I'll make him like, he likes ramen. You know, like, what kid doesn't like ramen? You know, as a kid, we used to eat the ramen just raw, like hard. Just put the seasoning on like the crunchy ramen and just kind of go at it. And I don't know. Does anyone else out there do that? Because that wasn't a far-fetched thing for kids I grew up with. Like, I growing up, I knew there were a number of us that did it. Like, it wasn't obscure. It wasn't an odd thing to do. But I've told other people about it, and they've all been like, "What? You ate it raw?" It's like, yeah, with the seasoning, yeah. Uh-huh. Why is that weird? Apparently, it's weird. But yeah, so you know how you have, like, you make the ramen and then the seasoning packet. Sometimes, not all the time, there will be like green specks. I don't know what it is. Is it like a dried chive or something? I don't know. But even like the most minuscule, teeny tiny microscopic green speck, Bane will find it. And he has this like thought in his head that it has a taste, or he can feel it or something. Like, and it will shut him down on enjoying the rest of the dish. And it's wild to me. And I try to tell him, I'm just like, dude, it literally tastes like nothing. In chewing the food, like, if you got one of those green little specks in a bite, you would never know it's there. It is not big enough to stand out in the chewed up noodle in your mouth. But no, man, he doesn't go with that. It doesn't fly with him. You know, I kind of want to look at these things. No, I'm not going to, because the audio listener, it won't matter to them. But I got a cool little like gimbal thing for my phone that is going to be really fun to shoot with. Now my tea's cold. I got the set. I got my podcast set. I gotta figure out how to make this like tea thing work better. I got my research tablet. I got my monitor. I'm really stoked on this, guys. I'm really happy on how things are progressing here. I'm into it. How long have we been going? Almost an hour and a half. What the hell did I talk about? Did I say anything of substance? Like, was this entertaining or fun for anybody? I know in the last episode, I kind of felt weird about some stuff, but I had some gems in there. Oh, you know what I wanted to talk about? I want to talk about this. I have gotten way into Midjourney. Do you guys know what Midjourney is? Let's look it up so I can describe it well, because the way I want to describe it, I don't think it's going to translate and make a lot of sense. So hold on, here we go. Oh, crap. Mid. You know, now that we're getting towards an hour and a half, I'm remembering things I want to talk. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to talk about it. I kind of get really bummed out that I feel like I repeat myself a lot. And then after I'm done recording, I'm like, I just talked about the same garbage I talked about on the last episode. So it's just, here's another episode of the same old thing. And that can't be entertaining for anybody. But anyhow, Midjourney. Oh, and then that was that. See, I need to utilize this notebook. I have to. Because it's getting... This may be a 2-hour podcast. And it's already really late at night. And we're driving to Disney tomorrow night. So I'm going to have to find time to sleep during the day, and I got to clean my house. This is what a lack of organization does. Like that Feshta talk. Why did I even bring that up? Like, it was so pointless. Anyhow, Midjourney. Midjourney is an independent research lab exploring new mediums of thought and expanding the imaginative powers of the human species. What? That is even... That's even more like absurd than how I would have described it. Okay, well, I'm just going to describe it the way I'm going to describe it. Midjourney is AI. I don't know if this is like actually how it's described, but this is how I'm going to describe it. To me, the way my brain translates it, it's an AI image generator. Now, there might be further aspects of it that I haven't utilized yet, but what I use it for is an AI image generator. So you type in, something, whatever you want, and it'll spit back out an image to your text. So some of the things I've done was like a werewolf posing in front of Spaceship Earth at Epcot in Disney World. And it'll spit out an image like this one. So for the video viewer, this is what it came up with. Or for the audio listener, you can go to my Instagram or Twitter or whatever, Leal Legacy, and you can see the image I'm talking about. It'll spit out 4 options. It'll translate your text into 4 images, and there you go. And you can do whatever you want with these images. They theoretically, I guess, belong to you because it was your brain that came up with it. Yeah, but anyway, I use it just for like, eye-catching kind of promo-y stuff. The intent I have is somebody will see the image and be like, well, leallegacy.com, they'll go to the website. But it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And like, it'll spit out, it'll turn your text to an image in like 60 seconds. Now, it's not always a perfect translation, but it teaches you how to become more creative with your wording and more descriptive and more, there's definitely a skill to it. You really need to be able to the skill of translating thoughts into words, then those words into text. It's a weird. I felt that just seemed really weird to say, but it's really cool, and I'm just so caught up in it. Like, I will be lying down to go to sleep, and I'll just be on my phone, just clicking away at just different ideas, like whatever. For creative minds, it's super rad. Now, there is that just weirdness of artificial intelligence, man. Like, what I don't know, man. Where's the line drawn? Where is the line drawn? And what like the image that it produces, it's artificial intelligence generated, but it's generated not independently. Like, it uses your wording of whatever thought you had, so you are still kind of the mastermind of the concept, because without you translating your thought to text, the images produced would not be. You know what I mean? This thing isn't coming up with ideas on its own yet, which is the creepy part. But like, so go, if you are only listening to the audio, I definitely implore you to either pull up the video version of the podcast and scope it out, or go to Instagram or whatever, Leal Legacy, and take a gander at what I'm talking about. It's kind of like a series. I'm seeing this currently, what I'm doing right now. It's a series of like Disney parks in a parallel universe kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because the image that it generated for my werewolf posing outside of Spaceship Earth, and for those of you who don't know what Spaceship Earth is, like Epcot, the iconic Epcot ball, that's Spaceship Earth. So in my mind when I was doing it, I had a vision of like a werewolf, American Werewolf from Paris, or American Werewolf in London style werewolf, something like fearsome and terrifying, hanging out at Epcot. But because I think I used, they took the Disney World aspect of the text, and they made the werewolf a character, and reminiscent of like Mickey Mouse or Goofy, like a costumed character. So it took what I said and ultimately like did a fun translation that I personally wasn't seeing in my mind when entering the text, but it worked out. It worked out really, really cool. Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, it's interesting. If you are a graphic designer and you have a degree in graphic design, and I have a cousin who does, and I mean this in the most respectful way, but this is a game changer, and it's definitely going to make the career path of graphic designer a lot different than what you guys went to school for. But I get that because I went to film school and I learned how to do film and video production on like big like industry cameras, and I learned how to edit using like at the time the most cutting edge editing softwares and stuff like that. And now the things that I learned and the tools I learned to use are, I mean, they're still valuable to it. Like they still are good, but like the capability of doing a lot of what I learned to do and the way I learned to do it, you can now do that with an iPhone. And I mean like the shooting and the editing on a phone. Anybody can do it now. So I get it. I get the feeling of like, man, I spent a lot of money and I took a lot of time to learn this skill set, and it was, I don't want to say it was a waste, because there were a lot of like valuable lessons and skillful like approaches, if that makes sense, to producing video and film, like in visual content of that nature. But the tools, man, the tools have really, like, the game is completely different now than when I was in college. And now graphic designers who learned, the ins and outs of like Photoshop and whatever other programs you graphic design people use. Like, though valuable skill sets, still, this Midjourney AI thing has really like, it's to say it's a game changer, I don't think is an intense enough thing to say. It's definitely, if you are in that creative kind of space, if you are a graphic designer or you know, you find yourself within that realm of creativity, practice with this, learn this, adopt these AI imagers, and that's what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's the proper terminology, but that's just the terminology that makes the most sense to me. Definitely adopt this into your tool bag. Because I can see a lot of, like, I've had this intention for a while of making a comic book, but I don't know how to draw for anything. Like, I couldn't draw at the caliber of a comic book artist. And I'm not saying that AI can replace comic book artists. Like, I'm not saying that at all, but if I wanted to write a comic and I wanted to use AI to do my panels for me, it's not out of the question. Now, there are challenges there within itself. I don't know if that made sense. It has its own challenges and it has its own limitations, but that's only for now. Technology is, it's unstoppable force. And as creatives, we are not immovable objects. So if AI tools are not adopted, we can be run through. And currently, there's a writer strike going on, and to my understanding, part of that writer strike has to do with the use of AI, where you could really pitch. I don't know if Midjourney can do this, but there's definitely AI out there that you can pitch like an idea to. You can say, hey, write me a script based on this idea, and it'll come up with a full script of your idea. And again, there are limitations, and I'm not saying it's perfectly executed, but again, this is the infant stages of all this. Like, this is still way early on. 10 years from now, I don't know, man. I don't know. My uncle calls it the AI demon, which I get to a degree. And the future's now. Like, this is the kind of like sci-fi sort of thing where, you know, I don't even know if this was the kind of thing that could have been foreseen. Like, when I understood artificial intelligence, I thought like androids and stuff like that. I never considered being able to say, to enter text into anything and receive that text perfectly, well, not perfectly, but translated into an image. And I guess kind of like when you think about it, it's kind of like, yeah, well, no, duh. I mean, that's not a super far-fetched idea, but it's not an idea that was a top of mind. So, but I'm enjoying it. I'm utilizing it. Just, for fun. I'm using it right now just to make, just to, I have a lot of just my brain is always spinning, and I'm at no shortage of ideas. So that's why, like, late at night where I'm just like throwing, ideas into Midjourney just to see what I get back. Like, it's addictive, for somebody like me, where it's like, what would Elvis like Elvis eating a cheeseburger on the moon kind of thing. It was just like crazy things like that. And it will give you its best image translation of that. And it's crazy. It's crazy. So I'm using it now just for, as bait. Come up with like interesting things and make people curious and, lure them to our website, and yeah, crazy stuff. And then the last thing that I really kind of wish I brought up sooner was, I think it was the FDA. I think it's the FDA. That sounds like the right organization. FDA approves. Yeah, approved Neuralink. Elon Musk's brain implant startup Neuralink said it has been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to begin the company's first human clinical study. The company is working on a device that will allow people to control computer interfaces with their brain. It's happening. It's happening. The FDA have said, hey, Elon, go for it. So very soon, much sooner than later, there is going to be somebody who implements that. Like, there's going to be the first person they do this to. Like, it's underway. And then you gotta, maybe next episode I'll get into this more, because there was a time where I was like, yeah, Neuralink, I can't wait to dive into that. That sounds like it's going to be, that's cool. We're becoming cyborgs. But then the more I thought about it, the more I like pondered on it, I don't know, man. Like I'm an Elon Musk fan, but I don't know, man. I don't trust anyone really. And to allow somebody to implant anything into your brain that can be controlled from an outside source seems, there's a level of risk there that makes me super uncomfortable. And it makes me more uncomfortable to think that like a smartphone, we're to keep up with progress. To keep up with progress, like, is it going to get to a point where we all have to do it? Otherwise we fall behind. We fall behind in like a drastic way. Like, when you think about smartphones and compare it to like a flip phone, it's night and day, man. It's not even, it's barely the same tool. Smartphones today are barely the same tool as like the first generation iPhone. And I think like if you don't have a smartphone in today's day and age, like you're put at a disadvantage in a lot of ways. And some may argue if you don't have a smartphone these days, maybe you're put at an advantage. It just all depends on how you look at it. But think of this. Before we get out of here, Think about this nightmare. You do Neuralink. You have this thing implanted into your brain, and and there's a kill switch that exists now, to where if you step out of line, you are able to be turned off or limited or restricted or controlled. Like it has the capability to be utilized as the most ultimate controlling device. Like, imagine a world where prisons don't need to be a thing. Where if you break the law, they force you to have a Neuralink-like device embedded in your brain. And anytime, and it registers anytime you have any sort of nefarious or criminal thought, and it automatically just shuts you down. You just collapse. You know? And they'll take that and run with it in every direction you can imagine. It was a fun idea when it was still science fiction-y, but now that it's on the precipice of definitely being a reality, it's become a little scary, a little worrisome. And I was super on board. And now I'm not so sure. And soon, again, much sooner than later, there's going to be a human who is able to control computer interfaces with their brain. Like, that person's going to exist shortly. And then more people are going to exist like that. And like the iPhone, that technology is just going to double itself in every way. Rapidly. Every time it improves, it's going to like progress twofold. And how far does that go? And when is enough? And is there enough? Like, I don't know, man. We're definitely coming up to a place where we may be some of the last naturally biological humans. Anyway, go sleep on that now. I'll definitely be repeating myself over and over again with that, like I did with everything else in this episode on future episodes. But it's here. It's here. AI, Neuralink. It's things that we're gonna have to adopt. Now, AI. There's certain aspects of AI that's if you're in a creative space, it's unavoidable. You need to adopt. You need to know how to use it at least. Then the Neuralink thing. I'm cautiously excited to like, what if they do that? Like, what if that first person that opts in to having this done, they just explode? You know, like they just kill over. Or or that one person becomes superhuman, and that's the person that overtakes the world. Like that's like a horror movie, you know, like the first person to be bestowed with this ability snaps and becomes some sort of overlord, and no one else gets to join the Neuralinked, and it's just this one person, and they just overthrow everything. There's so many science fiction possibilities that are so no longer out of the realm of possibility. So while you still can, and while you're still forced to do it the Stone Age way, before you can just think about it, using a smartphone or laptop or computer of any kind, leallegacy.com. Every episode of this podcast is brought to you by Skeleton Crew. Go to leallegacy.com/shop or skeletoncrewbrand.com. And that's CRUE, like Motley Crue, but skeletons. And help us keep this all afloat. I mean, this is all I do now. This is my only job is this. So I don't do a Patreon thing. I don't do any subscription things. I don't do anything like that. I just, if you are so inclined to show some fiscal support, well, go shop. You know, it's not a donation sort of thing. It's not a subscription sort of thing. Go and pick yourself up something fun. I got just, mostly apparel, mostly shirts, mostly accessories, all things Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew is our Leal Legacy lifestyle brand, and it's just, any kind of product that I concoct or come up with will be through the Skeleton Crew brand. And it's currently the most financially effective way to help support what we got going on here. But if you are not in a position to where spending a little cash is the wisest of options, I just ask that maybe, convince somebody else who is. Spread the word. Tell people about this. If you like the podcast, if you like the cartoon commentaries, if you like anything I'm doing, just spread it. The old-fashioned punk rock way, word of mouth. Tell others. Leave comments, likes, reviews. Follow us on social media, leallegacy.com. I'm no longer solely devoted to YouTube. I've been doing the cartoon commentaries where now I'm kind of devoted at the moment to doing the commentaries on the Disney World War II era and the World War II propaganda shorts that they would do. One of the most one of the cartoons I was so looking forward to providing commentary for, and one of the most impactful cartoons from that era was blocked on YouTube by Disney, and it was automatically blocked. I don't think Disney reviewed it and said, no, we're not going to let them do it. No, it was just in their algorithm. They said, no, or, the copyright owner is not allowing this to be shown on your channel in whatever territories. Well, I disapprove. Even if they blocked monetization on it or whatever, I think that's fine. I don't care. I got other things on YouTube that I can monetize and pull ad revenue in from. But to block it entirely was a little much for me. Like, it's like I'm not just taking your cartoon and putting it on my channel to cash in. Like, I'm adding to it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the hardest of work by providing commentary to this, what is it? 70, 80-year-old cartoon. But yeah, so I still got it up though. So if you want to see the things that I'm not able to post on YouTube, well, we're also available on Rumble and rumble.com. It's like an alternative to YouTube, and Twitter. Twitter has opened up the video space. Like, you've always could post video to Twitter, but for Twitter Blue, like the blue checkmark people, there's an option now where they've added the ability to upload more expansive video content. So I can start putting the podcasts on Twitter as well. But yeah, Twitter's definitely going to become a video viewing source, much like YouTube. So if YouTube's your jam, well, I got a bunch of stuff there on YouTube, but moving forward, there's also going to be a lot of things that, if I'm not able to put it on YouTube, you can go find it elsewhere. So go scope it out. Give us a follow everywhere, a like, a comment, your favorite podcast platform of choice. Do the same. Leave a review. Just interact. Tell your friend. Help me get this ball rolling. You know what I mean? Ultimately, I would appreciate that even more than you shop in our store, because the more people who know about this, the more potential customers there may be. So anything to help. And even if you don't want to tell anybody else, you want to bogart what we got going on here and keep it your little secret, that's cool too. Whatever. But I just implore you as a singular entity to, at the very least, follow us on your favorite social media platforms. And I've made it real easy. I've made it real easy for you. On all social media, it's Leal Legacy. Leal. Which hand is it? Boom. Leal Legacy. And Skeleton Crew is Skeleton Crew FC. No space. Just Skeleton Crew FC. And that stands for Skeleton Crew Fight Club. Skeleton Crew Fight Club. Booyaka. Shout out Rey Mysterio. Yeah, so I guess that's it. Until next time. Right now, the family and I are down in Walt Disney World. I am collecting content footage and other things on our trip that I will utilize for future podcasts and watch along commentaries, vlogmentaries, all. So there's going to be a whole slew of new Disney-centric content to come. So if you are of the Disney persuasion, if you are a Disnerd, keep a lookout for that. And even if you're not, even if you just like to hear me run my mouth, well, there's going to be more than just this. Wow, this is really cool. Why haven't I done this more? Anyway, thanks for listening. Until next time. Adios.